My freedom is so close I can taste it. I sense Claudia approaching. Others are near as well, but no matter. Your daughter is far more powerful.
In darkness, gaze upon a fallen star.
I denied something that is undeniable. We all want peace and we all want love. But violence tests us. Because pain and loss feel so terrible inside. You want to hate. You want to hurt someone else. I just want to yell, stop. Just do it!
Fulminous!
Hey everyone, it's Soul here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For this week's video, I decided I would finally talk about a show that's been lingering in the back of my mind since I first made this channel, and that show is Netflix's The Dragon Prince. This show has been praised as a spiritual successor to Avatar: The Last Airbender, which, in case you didn't know, is one of my all-time favorite shows. Much more recently, with its last 2 seasons, this show is receiving a lot of mixed reviews, so I decided that now is the time to hop on here and share my thoughts and opinions with you guys. Before we jump in though, please remember to hit that like button, click subscribe to see more videos from me, and leave a comment down below. Here is your one and only warning that this video contains spoilers. Alright, grab your favorite glow toad and staff and let's sail in. The Dragon Prince was originally created by Justin Richmond and Aaron Ehasz, who, in case you didn't know, Aaron has previously worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, the first season of the show was released back in September 2018, with the first 3 seasons forming a sort of trilogy plotline that concluded with a grand finale in November 2019. The 4th season of the show and the beginning of the tetralogy that will result in the series finale, this next group is titled The Dragon Prince: The Mystery of Aaravos. This was released in November 2022, with the 5th season only being released a couple weeks ago at the end of July. The show features a group of talented voice actors, with Paula Burrows voicing Rayla, Callum is voiced by Jack DeSena, who also voiced Sokka in Avatar, Sasha Rogen is Ezrin, Raquel Belmont voices Claudia, Jesse Inokala voices Soren, Viren is voiced by Jason Simpson, Renee Anakwe is Janai, Luke Roderick voices Kareem, and Aaravos has the oh-so-chilling and mysterious voice of the talented Eric Dellums. The Dragon Prince is a show that I started watching right when Season 2 had been released. I watched in awe as this magical land, the world of Xadia, unfolded on my screen. It's a world that is so full of political complexities, heavy lore, a really strong and fleshed out magic system full of strict rules, as well as a lot of fun and different types of magical creatures. I was introduced to Callum, Rayla, Ezrin, Zim, Soren, and Claudia, a fun, memorable, and lovable cast of characters who I got to join on their journeys as they went on to return Zim, the Dragon Prince, back into Xadia in order to save the world. I also got to watch them as they matured and grew as individuals, and in some cases I got to watch as they went on to help destroy the world. I was pulled in by this mysterious and powerful enemy, and I watched as Aaravos corrupted the once lovable and fatherly sides of Viren's personality, and watched as Viren turned into his full evil attributes. Now, when Season 3 was then released, I watched as the battle for good and evil finally came to its epic conclusion. Dragons came from all over to help protect their Dragon Prince Zim and his mother Zubeia. I cheered on our fire elves as they fought to try and protect their rulers and regain the light of the Sunfire elves that Viren had stolen. I watched as humans, elves, and dragons have finally put aside their differences in order to help defeat Viren's forces. And I nearly jumped out of my seat as Rayla saves Zim by pushing Viren off of a cliff and falling down with him, only for Callum, a human, to perform primal magic, grow some wings, and save the love of his life. With our lovers finally coming together, we get the good guys coming out on top. But we are left with the tiny sliver of evil left behind, as we see our enemy, Viren, still alive at the end of the season. And then, well, right when things are good for our main characters, we skip ahead a couple of years to the moment that Viren is resurrected by Claudia, to the moment that Aaravos is being extra mysterious by simply not being in the show, and we suffer as our main couple have incredibly ridiculous relationship problems. The gang is suddenly thrown back together again as they try to stop Claudia and Viren from releasing Aaravos from his prison. But in order to find the prison, they first go through the time-consuming process of finding the pieces of the puzzle that each dragon has on Aaravos' whereabouts before they finally locate and capture the prison pearl that Aaravos is supposedly in. Now, before I go any further, I want to say that even though I'm kind of poking fun and I'll definitely be a little bit critical about it, I don't actually hate seasons 4 and 5. Look, some people on here really despise these last 2 seasons, and while I definitely agree that the quality of writing in the last 2 seasons, it's not nearly as good as the first 3, I just don't think that it's the worst thing ever. Now, it is a bit worrying that the show might take a sudden nosedive next season, similar to the nosedive in Game of Thrones, but as of right now, it's still pretty good, and I have to admit that I did enjoy watching these past 2 seasons. I just wasn't in as much awe when I was watching them as I was in the first 3. Those first 3 seasons, they're pretty fail-proof. They deserve all of the praise that people give them. It is very much that same feeling that Avatar gave off, with the balance of serious issues and real-world concerns with the childish and kid-friendly nature of the show. The jokes, the witty personalities, and the implied messages are all done in a way that makes it fun for kids, while also holding heavy issues and portraying them in an interesting way to us adults. The content and the tone as a whole, it's just spot on. And I think something that the early seasons do great that helps create this balance is give each main character some sort of funny side or funny quirk in their personality. Callum is the awkward sort of over-talkative type of funny. Ezrin is the childish humor since he is a child. Soren is a bit dumb at times, which creates some funny moments. Claudia is just a bit straight up weird, and she gets very overexcited about really random things, but it definitely makes her fun to watch. And Rayla has much more of a sarcastic and witty humor. The fact that all of our main characters have these comedic attributes not only helps the overall balance in the tone, but it's also what makes them likable characters. Aside from just their humor, all of the main characters have these great character arcs throughout the first 3 seasons of the show. We get to see every single tiny step forward, or in some cases backwards, that each character takes, and it is just a beautiful thing that we get to follow on screen. But while I could sit here and talk about how great the first 3 seasons are, I want to talk about where I feel seasons 4 and 5 went wrong. Now, as a whole, the writing in seasons 4 and 5, it has lost some of that subtlety and has therefore shifted that perfect balance a little bit more into the child-friendly kids half of it. A lot of the writing kind of spells out a lot of the meanings or the points and messages that the writers are trying to make, and it takes away a little bit of that adult feeling that the show had. One example of the absolute ridiculous simplicity and the loss of subtlety is the argument between the human and the Sunfire elf over the campfire. That scene was so ridiculous, the conflict was so simplistic and explained in such childish terms, it just made it painful to watch on screen, as the whole time I felt like I just wanted to scream at them, just talk. It's not that difficult, they could have just talked it out, it would have been fine. But the simplicity of the situation and the over-exaggeration of the complexity just made it feel like, this one wrong, this one bad, oh no, watch out kids, big problem about to occur. It was just a bit too childish for my liking, especially since the problem itself was so simplistic at the root of it, that it could have just been resolved like instantly through talking. Another example of the writers spelling out everything in toddler terms comes in season 5. Just look at these two scenes and compare them, in which Viren is spiraling through his moral dilemma in his mind, his thoughts, and he's just having a huge moral crisis. Much like Zuko does in Avatar, by the way. Coincidence? I think not. First, we have Soren, who runs away from his father, absolutely scared by his dad's face. What's great with this is that it could be a memory, and it probably is supposed to be a bit like a memory, but it could also be completely fake and simply there to symbolize Soren having abandoned Viren in the present day. It symbolizes Viren's regret and guilt all at once. And the fact that there's these different layers to this event just makes it a lot more complex and really cool to watch on screen. But now, let's see Claudia. There is zero room for interpretation, and the fact that they have any lines at all from Claudia, it's just baffling. They could have just had her walk in Viren's footsteps. Did they really have to spell it out for us like that? I mean, it almost feels like a bit of a mockery. Now, a lot of the jokes and the comedic moments have also dropped further into the childhood territories, with them even having poppet flowers. Some of the characters have been reduced to only comedic characters, and in Zim's case, well, Zim is reduced to just a cute side character. But when it comes to these comedic moments, this is a kids show, so I am willing to let it slide, but I just hope that it doesn't go any further down that kids path, since it'd be really sad to see such a great show slip further and further, becoming more and more simplistic in the writing style, plot, and jokes. With season 4, there are a few things wrong. Some of you might say that the lack of a clear mission or the main couple's relationship drama is the main problem. But in season 4, I feel that the most common, most ironic, and the main issue of the season is the fact that Aaravos isn't really in it. Now, aside from the title of the seasons being a bit ironic, one of the reasons that this is such a major problem is because of the fact that the previous seasons, Aaravos had a huge role. Whether we saw him or we heard him, he was immensely present, so going into a season that didn't have nearly the same scale of involvement and presence from him, it made it very hard to overlook. Not having his plans and schemes being whispered into our ears created a very different feeling to the show. Now, I will say that I loved when he possessed Callum. Honestly, that might have been the best moment in the season. I mean, it really showcases Aaravos' power, but it also raises questions like, could he have broken the mirror all this time? Even when the mirror was with Avizandium? I just felt that it was a nice mid-season tension sort of moment, and it definitely implanted some concerns in our minds in relation to perhaps what he meant when he said that Callum will play right into his hands. I feel like it was really well done, but then after that, Aaravos basically goes away the entire season. And a big reason that I think his absence is felt really, really heavily is the fact that there is no other evil to sort of replace him. That homunculus creature that is birthed from the cocoon, while it is initially scary or a little unnerving, it becomes a bit of a cute and random character who is, for the most part, pretty harmless. Some of you might say that Claudia and Viren are the enemies and the evil in the season, but they just don't compare to the pure evil that is Aaravos. Viren is very much on a morality arc, trying to figure out where he went wrong and to pick a better path for himself. There are also times that I think we are supposed to pity, or at the very least sympathize for him, so he is definitely not a big bad evil. And when it comes to Claudia, I think many fans sort of await to see if she will have a redemption arc near the end, or perhaps a sudden realization that all she's done is wrong. That hope for a redemption, I think it stems from us being introduced to a more innocent version of Claudia. We first see her being so close to Callum and Ezrin. We then see her work incredibly hard to save Soren when he gets paralyzed, and as a whole, she is part of the initial group of characters. And I think that when you are first introduced to characters in this sort of friendly group setting, you sort of expect them to come back together by the end of the show if they haven't stayed together throughout it. Aside from just the hope of them coming back together, Claudia also has a lot of random lines and comedic moments that just take away from her being this big bad enemy. So while she is definitely growing more and more evil with each season, which personally I kind of love to see how evil she will get in time. But she is still far away from being pure evil, and she just doesn't fill that void that Aaravos leaves behind. So without Aaravos whispering in our ears, we are left in Season 4 without a true enemy. Season 5 does seem to sort of address this and adds him in a little bit more, mainly through Viren's moral coma. So I think it is an improvement, but it still could be better. As for the main issue in Season 5, it would have to be Rayla and Callum's relationship. Now, their steady relationship development in the first 3 seasons is definitely fantastic, and I love that they get confirmed before the season finale, and that it's not just a first kiss and a sudden cut to the end. It's nice to have a confirmed relationship earlier on in a kid's show, since that doesn't really happen that often. But at the same time, because they were confirmed sooner rather than later, it isn't that surprising to me that they aren't together at the start of Season 4. I mean, when is there a happy, perfect, zero breakups, zero drama sort of couple on a TV show that gets confirmed early on? Seriously, if anyone can think of one, let me know, because almost all the couples that I'm thinking of, they have some sort of drama in the middle. So my issue, it isn't the 2-year skip forward, or even the stupid reasons that Rayla left and how she left Callum 2 years ago. My issue is how the show handles resolving these issues. Quite plainly, they don't. First of all, I do like the awkwardness that occurred between the two of them in Season 4. That sort of gradual warming up to trusting each other again, it was nice to see, and obviously it makes a lot of sense. But then for some reason, Season 5 just took off. Rayla never truly apologizes for what she did to Callum, and Callum kind of lets her just walk all over him. I think many of us are frustrated that Rayla's whole arc in the first 3 seasons is about trusting Callum and learning to work together, but then she just kind of goes backwards in Seasons 4 and 5, which is very aggravating. The writers make Callum out to be this soft sort of, oh, I trust you, you'll tell me when you're ready type of character, in a moment that simply doesn't make sense. Now, of course, we love a supportive partner like that, but only when it's at the right times, and technically they're not really in a relationship right now either. There is one particular event that really disappointed me, and it was when Rayla gets caught in Viren's lab or hidden room and is then arrested. Callum does nothing and simply says that I trust her and let her go. Callum, my dude, it's been 2 years, this girl is practically a stranger to you at this point, okay? Look, I know he loves her, but I really wish that Rayla was arrested in that moment. I wish that the other members of the council sort of overpowered Callum's demands and arrested her anyway. I feel like it would force Callum to once again waver on his feelings for Rayla, and it also might have forced Rayla to tell Callum what's really been going on. Or it could go the opposite way, and she could have escaped in order to keep her secrets. Either way, one of them would have been left betrayed, and I just feel like it would have added a lot more drama to their relationship issues, because right now, they haven't resolved the 2-year gap problems, and it seems like the writers are just moving right along and getting them together as soon as possible again. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if they aren't going to resolve these problems, which clearly they haven't, then at least give us crazier drama between them, because I personally couldn't stand how much Callum is chasing after Rayla, despite her being the cause to most of their relationship problems. Look, there are a lot more issues that people have with Season 4 and 5, but these are just the main issues that I feel sort of drag the seasons down the most. Now, this video is getting quite long already, so let me just throw some speedballs here on things I liked and didn't. I absolutely loved the development of Viren's inner mind dilemmas. It made a lot of sense in the timing of the plot, and the result is great. I also won't lie to you. I had a mini heart attack when Aaravos said "your kid" to Viren. I really thought for a minute that Viren might be Callum's dad, because we still don't really know who Callum's dad is. I really didn't like Nyx being in this season. That was just pure fan service, and it wasn't a cute kind of fan service either. It makes zero sense as to why she's there instead of in the desert. I love everything that happens with Finnegrin chasing, capturing, and interrogating and torturing Callum and the group. I really enjoyed how that plot played out, but I absolutely hate how they started that. I just don't like that it's glow toads in the chest. I really thought that it would be some sort of magical relic that would help them against Aaravos, but instead it's just cute babies that made the show feel even more geared towards children. I kind of like the Sunfire Elves plot right now. I mean, I absolutely hated the campfire issue because, it was just ridiculous, like I said earlier. But in season 5, I love Karim bringing this ancient evil to use against his sister. And I love a good betrayal plotline, so with many Sunfire Elves betraying Janai and Karim looking like he's ready for war next season, I have to admit I am eager to see what's going to happen with them next. I personally hated that no one pointed out that Zubeia got scratched. They all saw that she got bit and scratched, and none of them seemed to question if Zubeia would turn evil or not. That just felt a bit weird to me, considering we had a line not too long ago saying that any living thing that gets scratched is gonna turn evil. It just felt a bit weird to me that the characters forgot that she might turn evil. I love Terry. It's nice to see a supportive partner, but while I enjoyed it early on, I have to admit I am slowly getting tired of him. I think I'm waiting for the moment that he sort of snaps and is like, Claudia, you're hurting yourself by doing this, like don't do this to yourself. Or something along those lines. Because you start to see that he doesn't fully like what he's doing, but he's still supporting Claudia nonetheless. I wish that we got more from Ezrin. He definitely seems to have fallen into the sort of background of the characters right now, and considering that he was basically the top 3 in the first 3 seasons, I want him to have a bigger role and to see more of a development from him, because as of right now, he's pretty stagnant. The map being marked with a piece of gunk or whatever it was, it made zero sense to me. You're telling me that they followed a map that was mismarked by drool or leftover food or whatever it was that just happened to land right in the exact spot that the prince is? Like, that kind of felt like a place where the writers just wanted like a cheap laugh from kids. Like, haha, the dragon left stinky piece of food on the map. So I just absolutely hated that. It also just doesn't make sense as to how they were able to find the prison if that's just a piece of food. And then last but not least, I hate that Stella exists, or rather that her powers exist. It's just way too much of a magic plot convenience that will definitely become the fallback device whenever the writers need to get something that's impossible to reach. Like, it just becomes too much of a crutch for the writing, which it isn't always a fun thing to see play out on screen when the writers use a cop-out like that. So with all of that said, there definitely are some major issues with seasons 4 and 5 of The Dragon Prince, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's a bad and horrible show now. The main issue with season 4 is the lack of Aaravos and the lack of a real enemy. Meanwhile, season 5 suffers the most from Rayla and Callum's poor relationship development. I personally love the world of Zadia so much, and I am always pulled into this beautiful and vivid world, so I am definitely looking forward to seeing the next 2 seasons of the show. I look forward to seeing what is the true mystery of Aaravos that is yet to be revealed, and how our main cast of characters might grow moving forward. I am really intrigued to see if Aaravos might possess Callum very soon, and how Aaravos is going to be let out of his prison now that our good guys have the pearl. I await to see if Claudia will remain evil or if she will once again reunite with the good guys, and I of course look forward to seeing what might be the fate of our 2 lovers, if they might be able to work things out, if they will be together in the end, or perhaps if they separate. If you guys liked my discussion, please hit that like button down below and leave your thoughts in the comments section. While you're down there, click subscribe to see more videos from me, and turn on notifications if you want to be notified whenever I post a new video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you future souls next time. Bye, guys!